Okay, so today we're going to go and tackle these Portlights and get them going from looking like this, where you can't see anything through it. That's kind of bad. Maybe here's a little bit better. You can't make anything out outside of it. Just so foggy. We're going to get these two today and tackle that. And these are the Bexon Portlights, and they have a pin on this side. I don't know if you can make that out, but you have a pin you have to knock out, and a screw you have to unscrew. On both sides here, you've got a little wing nut on the side, and have to unscrew it from there. Portlight pin from there. And we're going to take these and we're going to take them and use some sandpaper to sand down the outsides there to get off some of this clouding that has occurred and get it going from looking like that to something similar to this, where you can actually just clear as day come through right out. So with that said, here's how we're going to do it. We're going to take and take the pin out from here, and let's go over the tools real quick. Tools we need, actually really simple. We're going to need a hammer and a can't remember the name, but the pin to push and get the pin out. Then we're going to need a screwdriver to take out that screw, and we're going to go from 600 grit wet sandpaper to 1200 grit sandpaper, all wet, and then onto the 2000 grit sandpaper. And I bought this this kit that you can hook up to your drill to buff it out at the very last bit, and it's got a 3000 grit pad, and then you take some finishing compound to go on top of that on this bit here, and this peels off and goes here. All that's a 3M kit that's like 35 bucks, but a good thing to go through and clean these off. So first up, we're going to go and pull that pin out and see if we can't loosen that up a bit. So here we go, and pulling the pin out. This should be interesting because and here's another little secret I use to get these out, to keep from tearing them up. So I use a pair of vice grips to grab the pin, and that way I don't accidentally knock off and break the plastic on here, because I've done that on another one, and that was bad, because these things are used around 60 bucks at if you can find them, and new they're around 120, so they're really tough. So we pulled that pin, and now we just loosen the wing nut there, unscrew this screw, and take it out. You could probably do these while they're inside, but it's you can get better coverage when you're trying to do it if you've got a better workspace. Alright, so here we are. Flathead screw to unscrew these. What's bad is the larger one of these has screws that don't have screws. They have a pin, but they also have these spring clips. And those spring clips are extremely tough. And if the plastic's at all any kind of brittle, you have a horrible time getting them out without breaking the little plastic pieces right here and here, or on the Portlight itself. So you got to be very, very careful on how you do it. I'll show you the results of not being careful enough. And it is amazingly difficult to put those in and out. And unfortunately, on this one, I can't show it off. I'll probably do a video on another one where I do have the port lights with the springs, because I have one more of those to do to show off. But pull this last, I don't know if that even makes it out there. Pull this right here, this last bit of unscrewing, and that is in there tough. But you got to be very, very careful to not break the actual plastic bits that this is plugged into or screwed into, because they're so hard to replace. And replacing them means you actually have to go out and peel them off the side with break the sealant, reseal them. And this was done with some non-marine silicone, so it's really tough to get in there and break out. And not only that, it's a silicone sealant that not quite as bad as 5200, but still pretty difficult to break off the ring on the outside. All right, so that's got the wing nut and screw. And this put this wing nut and screw back together. That way I have a good place for it. Undo the dogs. Yes, they are called dogs. And that just comes right apart, and you can see all that nastiness there. So this is what we're going to try and fix today. Off to the work area. And the first thing we want to do is get this cleaned up, because you don't want to be sanding on some dirt and actually making that dirt pull in some. You want to make that dirt pull in any kind of scratches into the port light itself. So you can see, oh, there's dirt. We got to get that clean. Honestly, I just a little bit of dish soap and a rag, a different rag. Yeah, and you don't want any of that dirt being on there. This would just do horrible damage once you get in there and start sanding. Talk about 80, 90 grit sandpaper being bad. That's even worse, because that's a much bigger grit. So we get that nice and cleaned off there. Same over here. Just make sure we get it nice and cleaned. And you can see all this where that was tried to be sealed up. Somebody tried to seal it with some silicone. Just got it really nasty. Alright, so that's got that nice and clean, so let's go ahead and rinse it here. And you can feel the little pits. So we want to get that nice cleaned off. Get that UV exposed side that's really hard to see through nice and clean. So let's go ahead, put it on here, dry it off a bit. Although we are going to wet sand this, I want to make sure I get all the dirt. Make sure no dirt's coming up onto this paper towel. And already just cleaning it, you get a much clearer picture. It's still real hard to see through, but once we get that there, this side will conquer this side first. Hopefully this is something you can really see how well this is going to work. So now we've got all that dirt off of there. Dry it a bit. Just a little bit of water in there to make the wet sandpaper work. And I just go in smooth little circles. And you can already see it. See how that stuff just coming right off. Right out. And basically you're just scratching all this stuff off the surface. We're going to restore the gloss back in there. You can see just amazing how much of that just comes right out. And a good trick is the longer you sand with the smaller grits, or the bigger grits, the less you have to do on the smaller side. So get a lot of this going on the first time, on the first side. And here I am, got enough of that come off, and rinse that. Actually rinse the end of the sandpaper too. And so it's already looking much worse because it's cloudier, but that's what you want. You want a good, even cloudiness. Get all the major flaws out with that smaller, or the larger grit sandpaper, the 600, the smaller number. Start with this 600, all through this. You can see it's getting less and less of that just into the water there. And you can actually start feeling where that grit's coming out, and you need to rinse it. And that's a good even amount for that first bit. And you can actually see it's really even harder to see through at this point. But that's kind of what you want. You want a good, even side on that before you move on to the next sandpaper. Now, on this side, we're going to go up to the 1200. Pull this 1200 in there. I'm just going to fold it over. And same way, just wet the end of it. Nice circles. And you want to that finer grit's going to start pulling out. You can see it's just starting to cloud, the little cloud stuff there. That's the grit coming up off of it. You want it really thin. And you wouldn't think getting clear by making scratches in it, but you scratch smaller and smaller until you get a really smooth surface. And again, the longer you take on the bigger grit sandpaper or the smaller number sandpaper, the less you take on the last, and the more even and clear you're going to get. And this is just the one side. We're not even taking care of the inside yet. We're just doing the outside. And like I said, I like to take these nice smooth circles. You can go up and forward, up and down like this, and it's not too bad of an idea to switch it up a bit. In fact, once we get to the 2000 grit, that's what I like to do, is these good lines instead of the circles, or up and down motion and side to side motion instead of a circular motion. Because the last one you're going to do is going to do this drill, and that drill is going to leave little swirl marks. So you don't want to make more swirl marks on top of more swirl marks. Rinse that out. And already you can actually see through it much clearer now. And that's just with the 600 to 1200. Now we're going to move on to the even more or even smaller grit, the larger number, 2000 sandpaper here. I'm going to take and wet that. And this will start off just a in the smooth circles. Actually, move that around. Now that we've done the smooth circles, we're going to go back and forth, up and down, and then side to side here, and actually get a good coverage. It's not going to be swirl marks, so that when we do the drill, and use the drill here, we go in it. See, I don't know if you can see that. You can see that, just that little bit that was sanded off coming right off. Let's rinse that. And again, each step should get a little clearer. You should see a lot better through it. Like, I can make out everything behind it just perfect. So at this point, we're going to switch off and go to the 3000 grit. And that's another wet one. And you just take that and apply it on this little buffer pad. You don't want to go too fast, so you want your, if you've got a variable speed drill like I do, I got that really fast one, and then the least fast. And we're going to go with that least. We don't want to really knock it down hard. We want to take and smooth it out. And smooth it out really good. Now, you're probably not going to be able to hear me over the drill, so I'll just let it go. That. There, you can see through it really nice and clear enough. I'm going to dry this off, and then I'm going to go with the next step, which you don't necessarily have to do. I just think it's a nice little extra that I can go ahead and make sure that I get a really good finish on it. So what I'm going to do is just dry this. That towel is horrible for drying. No more. Take the towels here and get it nice and dried off. And what I'm going to do next, this really, like I said, it's just one of those you don't necessarily have to do. It's really nice and clear now. But this is going to really kind of push it out. I mean, you can see some of the swirl marks are still there, and we want to get rid of those. That's where even with that fine 3000 grit. What we're going to do next is we're going to do some rubbing, well, some polishing compound. And what I'm using for the polishing compound is this 3M Marine Finesse Glaze. What I do with that, I kind of use that as a finishing off on one when I do a little bit of polish with the with fiberglass. I use the rubbing compound and then I finish it with the finesse it stuff. And here I'm going to use just a dab, not a whole lot. And I'm going to rub it around so I don't get any kind of splatter. And I see I switched over to this nice uneven pad here that works great for polishing. And again, it's going to be too loud for me to talk, so I'm just going to walk through it here. One thing I will say, when you get to the very, very fine finesse stuff, you can actually go to the higher speeds and it does a little bit better. So here again, too loud. Oh, and I'm not putting a lot of pressure. You just want just a little bit of pressure, not a whole lot. You want to make it just right on top. I don't know if you can see it. There's this dust. That's all that finesse compound really just taking out those little swirl marks. So we're going to take our little wet paper towel here and pull that all out. Clean that all off. Just go ahead and rinse it. And now it's clear as day, just, I mean, perfectly clear. Now we're going to go ahead and dry all that off and remount it. And this is, you know, 10-20 minutes worth of work, not a whole lot, just enough, but man, does it make a difference when you can see out your port lights. Try the other side. I haven't even done the other side because the inside is not really one all to the elements outside, so it's the outside that, just like headlights, when you do your headlights, and by the way, that was a headlight kit that I got the pad from, but just like that with headlights, it's the outside that's exposed to the elements that really gets cloudy. And here we are, just nice and clean and see-through. So here, and I'll put this back on and show you the results. I think you're going to be rather surprised at what that looks like. Again, we're going to take and hammer that back through. Let's see if we can get the tripod set up here where you can kind of see where I put it back. We're just kind of going to do the reverse of what we did before. Put these in here. We're going to dog it down on the edges once we get there. That. And yeah, got to go grab the screw. doing this in the opposite. We did it on the way out, so what we're doing, get the wing nut off, back up here, get this guy here, and these are, you can tell the inside versus the outside. The outside is, let's see, the outside has where the pins are closest to the outside, and this is going to be the inside. And you can see, I was doing it backwards a second ago. So we're going to start this screw in here by hand. And now that it's started, let's go ahead and start screwing it the rest of the way. And I apologize, my hands are in the way where you can't see what I'm doing here. But it's a windy day and the boats are rocking pretty good. I'm moving these through, a little bit difficult with a rocking boat. Especially right when you're starting to screw. As it gets closer in, it's actually got it in a lot better. That's going through. We get that the rest of the way here. Again, I hope my hands and arms aren't too far in the end of this where you can't really see what's going on. I don't have to remake the video on the other side if that's the case. Already got that there. Now we got this wing nut to go on the side here. Get it up here, get it started. Just tighten that down. Good and tight there. And lastly, we're going to take the same pin and kind of knock that in there. And again, you want to be real careful how we knock this in to where we don't break these little plastic tabs here, because they're really, really hard to replace. again, use that same little trick. The with the vice grips to where we get a good grip on it. Where we can kind of just knock the vice grips in. To knock that through. And this is where we come back to the tool I couldn't think of the name of earlier, the countersink. We want to put that on that end there. Now we sink it all the way in, it's good and flush on both sides. And there we have it. We can open this up, close it back, and really to see the difference. This is what you see from inside out now versus what we were kind of seeing earlier. This is just like this. So just amazing the difference there. Again, just not that all that difficult. I guess we did take it a little long, a little 32 minutes, but I'll probably edit that down. But not too bad of a chore. Just 30 minutes to get one of the port lights. My boat, we have what, 12 port lights on it, so yeah, it's a day's worth of work, but it's well worth it when you go see the difference. It's just so amazing. But until next time, thanks, and if you get a chance, hit like down below and subscribe if you want. The more subscribers, the better we are. The more videos I'll make, and I'll see you soon.